Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. So today I lost my hat, and I don't know if you guys know where it is or have seen it, just let me know. Thanks. During the Battle of Yavin, Darth Vader first encounters Luke Skywalker. He senses whoever is piloting the X-Wing in front of him is strong in the Force.
The Force is strong in this one.
But he has no idea who it is. Before the Battle of Hoth and the Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader confidently tells Admiral Ozzel that Skywalker must be on the base.
That is the system, and I'm sure Skywalker is with them. Set your course for the Hoth system.
So somewhere between episode 4 and episode 5, Darth Vader finds out who Luke Skywalker is. Now I used to think this was because Luke became a rebellion hero for blowing up the Death Star, but that's not exactly how it happens. Emboldened by their victory at Yavin, the rebels quickly pressed their advantage and went on the offensive. They set their sights on the largest weapons and munitions factory in the galaxy, Cymoon 1. Perhaps even more important to the Imperial war effort than the Death Star. The Empire had recently gone into negotiations with Jabba the Hutt. They needed more raw materials for their assembly line. The Hutts had sent an emissary to Cymoon 1, but they were intercepted by a rebel team led by Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker. Posing as a negotiation team, the rebels are led into the factory. As they walk by the assembly line, their guide boasts that the factory is fully automated. Before the Imperial negotiation team arrives, Han, Leia, Luke, and R2 overpower their guides and head towards the reactor core. While the astromech hacked into the core system, Luke felt a faint call in the Force, a call for help. He's led to another part of the factory, a detention area of some kind, and finds that the assembly line isn't really fully automated. It also uses slaves, a lot of them. The core is set to explode in 10 minutes, but Luke complicates things by showing up with dozens of new passengers. Meanwhile, outside the factory, the Imperial negotiator finally arrives, and it's none other than Darth Vader. Chewie, who is posted as a lookout outside the base, notifies Han of this new development. He tries to snipe Vader, but the Dark Lord senses the attack at the last moment, and uses the bodies of his escorts to block the incoming plasma bolts.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
Recovering from the assassination attempt, Darth Vader reaches out in the Force. He senses a presence, the same presence he felt during the Battle of Yavin. It's the rebel pilot. The base is now on full alert, and the rebel team must fight their way out. The original plan was for C-3PO to bring the Millennium Falcon in for extraction, but unfortunately scavengers had started dismantling the ship as it lay hidden in a junkyard. C-3PO tried his best to defend the Falcon, but soon found himself broken into little pieces. Han comes up with a plan B and hijacks an AT-AT Walker and starts rampaging through the base. Luke feels a presence in the Force once again and wanders off. The young Jedi hears his old master Ben Kenobi's voice. It warns him to run. Suddenly, a figure turns the corner in front of him. It's Darth Vader. Driven by anger, Luke attacks the Sith Lord, accusing him of killing his father. Okay, hold on. I really like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's one of my favorite Jedi from this period, but I've always thought it was kind of messed up how he lies to Luke about his father being killed by Darth Vader. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, in a metaphoric way, but I mean, Luke is no longer a child. I mean, he's clearly an adult now, so what gives, Obi-Wan? What gives? Vader was unfazed by the accusation. He had killed many fathers.
Can't touch this.
But he was curious who this insolent young man was. He was far too weak to be the pilot he had sensed during the Battle of Yavin. The Dark Lord uses the Force and disarms Luke and grabs his lightsaber. But not just any lightsaber, but the lightsaber of Anakin Skywalker. Now it made sense. This was who Obi-Wan Kenobi had been protecting the entire time. But the old man was foolish. This boy before him was far too weak to be a threat. Vader demands the boy tell him who his father is, or else he'll end him, just like how he did his father. This is a terrific scene. I mean, the irony is completely lost on both of them. Suddenly, a gigantic AT-AT Walker foot comes crashing through the ceiling. It's Han Solo, with his usual impeccable timing. A chaotic melee ensues between the rebels, prisoners, and Imperials. While the rebels headed for the ship, Luke once again splits from the group and heads back to the reactor on his speed bike. The Imperials somehow manage to stop the reactor's meltdown. Following closely behind him is Darth Vader, who manages to damage the young Jedi's bike, but not before Luke manages to destroy the reactor. He closes his eyes and accepts death as it rushes up to greet him. But the Millennium Falcon rushes in once again and Han Solo saves the day. The stories I just told you were covered in the first 3 episodes of Marvel's Star Wars comic book series, and it's all considered canon. It's really interesting to see Vader and Luke battling each other without the knowledge of their relationship. Both individuals are blinded from the Force and unable to see the truth. Luke is consumed with anger and a lust for revenge after the death of Obi-Wan. And Vader, well, he seems occupied by something else. Maybe it's because he's obsessed with finding the rebel pilot that escaped him. He seems to think that Luke isn't capable enough to be him. Or was he blinded from the possibility that one of his children had survived because he was suppressing the painful memories he had of Padme? Anakin only wanted one thing in his life, and that was to be able to protect the ones he loved. As a Jedi, he felt incapable of doing so. When he turned to the dark side, ironically, he once again couldn't protect the ones closest to him. Padme's death will always remind him how he betrayed everyone he knew and cared about, and in the end was still left with nothing. It is possible that Vader does know, or at least suspects, that one of his children had survived. Someone as powerful as Anakin, who felt his own mother suffering, surely could feel the death of his wife and the birth of his new twins. Maybe he wanted to distance himself away from his children to prevent the Emperor from finding out about them and using them as leverage against him. Whatever is the case, it is interesting to see this interaction between these two. A few episodes ago, we talked about where humans originated in the Star Wars galaxy. I was pretty surprised by the answers you gave us in our poll. 253 of you said Earth. 130 of you said Coruscant. 48 said another galaxy. 47 said Corellia. And 25 said other. I guess a lot of you guys like the whole humans falling into a wormhole theory, huh? I personally always liked Corellia. But then again, that's because I see Han Solo as my role model. So for this episode, I want to ask you guys, do you think Darth Vader knows that his children or child survived after Padme's death? Just click on the little circle thingy on the top right corner and choose your answer. And I'll let you guys know the results in an upcoming episode. Anyway guys, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.